This is London, the capital city of Great Britain. Legend, myth and tradition have all played their appropriate parts in London's romantic history. In all this, the River Thames has borne silent witness, as well as providing the vital trade route on which the city was founded. Tower Bridge, a comparative newcomer to the city skyline, built in 1894. Yet it represents for many a familiar symbol of old London. The ebb and flow of river traffic into the Pool of London has sadly decreased, but occasionally the twin bascules of the bridge open to admit the more worldly progress of the 20th century. On the north bank of the Thames stands the core of Britain's history, the grim walls of the Tower of London. Built 900 years ago by William the Conqueror to secure his victory at the Battle of Hastings, the White Tower stamped Norman rule on the whole of England. Through Traitors' Gate, rebels, courtesans, queens and adventurers stepped gingerly into the chilly gloom, many never to leave. The sight of the execution scaffold which put paid to intrigue and treason, real or imagined. Here, many paid the ultimate price. One of the Tower's most famous prisoners made good use of his time there. The history of the world was written by the luckless Sir Walter Raleigh, whilst incarcerated in the Bloody Tower, where also the two young princes were coldly murdered. Popular legend says that should the ravens leave the Tower, both Tower and all England will fall. Just to make sure, the raven's wings are kept carefully clipped. Today, the original White Tower contains the world's finest collection of arms and armour. Henry VIII took full advantage of the tower and its grisly facilities, and in the armoury, his personal armour is carefully preserved. The most dazzling display in the tower are the crown jewels. The jewel house in the Waterloo block accommodates the regalia in an underground chamber, well secured to daunt any latter-day Colonel Blood. St. Edward's crown, used in the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II, contains 440 precious stones. It weighs nearly 5 pounds. The main feature of Queen Mary's crown is the massive Cullinan diamond. This crown was made for George V's consort in 1911. The royal sceptre contains the Star of Africa, believed to be the largest cut diamond in the world. The imperial state crown is worn by the sovereign after the coronation and on state occasions. It features the breathtaking Black Prince's ruby. A reminder that the Tower's jurisdiction encompassed civil as well as military matters is the annual ceremony of beating the bounds. Choir boys, armed with staves, follow the chief yeoman warder. The boys beat the boundary markers on command. The custom reaches back to Saxon times, when landowners beat the marker stones on their land to endorse ownership. Another of the traditions to which this ancient city clings. The City of London itself is the centre of a thriving business world, as indeed it has been since the Romans, under Claudius, established themselves at the lowest bridgeable point of the Thames in the 1st century after Christ. Traders followed the Caesar's legions and have been busy ever since. The Bank of England, affectionately known as the Old Lady of Threadneedle Street, handles the purse strings of the world. Another cornerstone of London's 1 square mile of commerce is the Stock Exchange. Big deals, little deals. They all pass through here. But it's at the Guildhall where the city dresses itself for ceremonial occasions. As the name suggests, this is the headquarters of the 12 principal livery companies, the ancient guilds. The Lord Mayor of London, elected from one of the guilds each year, makes himself known to the citizens. The coach, richly carved and gilded, dates from 1757. At the Mansion House, his official residence, the new Lord Mayor disembarks. The city celebrates this one day of the year with all the panoply of ceremony. But it's a day of colour and gaiety too. London's pearly kings and queens pay their respects. London's first mayor, Henry Fitzaylwyn, assumed office in 1192. During the ensuing 800 years, he's had many distinguished successors. The most famous of them, Dick Whittington, has become a legend in the city and a figure of romance around the world. The glory of London City, St. Paul's Cathedral, masterpiece of England's greatest architect, Sir Christopher Wren. It's the only Anglican cathedral with a dome, and those prepared to climb 365 feet can reach the golden ball under the cross. The setting for many a Thanksgiving service, the cathedral still holds regular services. The dome has paintings by Sir James Thornbull and depicts scenes in the life of St. Paul. Many famous people are buried here in St. Paul's, including two of Britain's greatest heroes, the Duke of Wellington and Lord Horatio Nelson. From St. Paul's, set on Ludgate Hill, it's a mere flick of the pen to the street of ink. Fleet Street is as old as English printing. Today it's the home of Britain's best-known newspapers. London's biggest news story started here in Pudding Lane in 1666, the Great Fire of London. The monument, 202 feet high, was built to commemorate the fire. It contains a spiral staircase with 311 steps to climb to get a superb view of London. One of London's newer monuments is the Post Office Tower, a telecommunications centre that dominates the skyline. Amidst the busy West End traffic, Admiral Lord Nelson looks down on the square built to commemorate his victory at the Battle of Trafalgar, in which he lost his life on the 21st of October, 1805. The 18th century church of St. Martin's in the Field occupies a corner of the square. And on the north side, framed in the fountains, is the National Gallery. A permanent resident of Trafalgar Square, the ubiquitous London pigeon, always ready to be fed and photographed by the office workers and tourists who gather here daily. On the south side of the square, Admiralty Arch spans the Mall. At the time of the Stuart kings, Whitehall Palace was the official royal residence, and the sovereign's lifeguard still mounts guard there, a prime magnet for the tourist. Behind Whitehall, the wide expanse of Horse Guards Parade. Here the most splendid ceremony of the year takes place, trooping the colours. In the presence of Her Majesty the Queen, who is Colonel-in-Chief of all 7 regiments of the Household Division, the colours of a selected regiment are paraded, or trooped. The origins of trooping the colour are basically simple. In bygone years, when battles in the field were deafening and confused, the fighting soldier needed a rallying point he could instantly recognize, the company's flag or colours. On the eve of battle, the colours were carried high down the line for all to see. This vitally necessary custom has evolved into today's magnificent spectacle. The colour is dipped in salute. To end this most splendid of all state occasions, the household cavalry rides past the Queen. Across St. James's Park is the London home of the royal family, Buckingham Palace. Queen Victoria was the first reigning monarch to live there. Originally built in 1703 for the Duke of Buckingham, the house was purchased by George III, later remodeled by John Nash for the Prince Regent, and thereafter known as Buckingham Palace. Every day, the palace forecourt is the setting for London's greatest free show, the changing of the guard. The St. James's detachment, the senior of the two palace guards, joins up with the rest of the old guard in front of the palace. Arriving from their barracks, the new guard marches forward in slow time. The 5 foot guard regiments of the Household Division share the guard duty. As a military complement, old and new guard present arms. The captains of the guard march forward for the ritual handing over of the palace keys. All that remains to be done is to post the new sentries. Each new sentry is given his orders by the corporal of the guard. The responsibility for the security and safety of the palace and its occupants thus passes from the old to the new guard. The royal standard flying over the palace indicates that the sovereign is in residence, and nothing draws the crowds more than when on special state occasions the royal family make their traditional appearance on the balcony. The royal family has a special place in the hearts of the British people. The palace is within easy reach of the sprawling offices of government. London's most famous landmark, the clock tower that houses Big Ben, the great bell whose sonorous notes are famous all over the world. The Palace of Westminster was built by Edward the Confessor while he was building Westminster Abbey, and was used by royalty until Tudor times. The original was destroyed by fire in 1834, and the present Gothic-style building, designed by Sir Charles Barry, was completed in 1852. It is now more commonly known as the Houses of Parliament. The Queen arrives in the House of Lords for the state opening of Parliament, dressed in the rich parliamentary robes and wearing the imperial state crown. The monarch is barred from the lower chamber, so the members of the House of Commons are summoned to come to the Lords. Members of the royal family and the Lords take their places. Meanwhile, the gentleman usher of the black rod summons the members of the Commons through the Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the Queen commands this honourable House to attend Her Majesty immediately in the House of Peers.
With the Commons and Lords assembled, the Queen reads out the government's legislative intentions for the coming parliamentary session. Though this ancient process is ceremonial, it is a constant reminder of the sovereign's and Parliament's constitutional position in the government of the country. Whitehall and the Cenotaph, the memorial for the dead of 2 world wars. As Big Ben strikes 11 on Armistice Day, the nation stands for 2 minutes in silent respect. Members of the royal family, the government and representatives from the Commonwealth lay their humble wreaths of poppies. Within sight of the Cenotaph is Downing Street, the official residence of the Prime Minister, number 10, where an ordinary London policeman is always on duty. Here the cabinet meets to decide on future policies, the very heart of government. One of the most ancient and hallowed churches in London, Westminster Abbey. Dedicated to St. Peter, the abbey was consecrated in 1065, only a few days before the death of Edward the Confessor. By the west door lies the tomb of a British warrior, unknown by name or rank, brought from the battlefields of France to lie among the most illustrious of the land. The coronation chair made for Edward I contains the Stone of Scone and has been used in every coronation since 1296. The Abbey has seen many happy royal weddings, such as this of Princess Anne to Captain Mark Phillips. Amidst the tall office blocks of Victoria is the forecourt that opens out onto the strange Byzantine architecture of Westminster Cathedral, London's largest Roman Catholic church. Across the River Thames is Lambeth Palace, the London home of the Archbishops of Canterbury since the reign of Henry III. It houses a fine collection of 17th century diaries and manuscripts. Travelling downriver, the Italian Renaissance-style County Hall, the administrative headquarters of the Greater London Council. The south bank of the Thames also caters for the arts. Along with the Festival Hall is the Hayward Art Gallery and the National Film and Drama Theatres. A stroll along the embankment is a pleasant way of viewing London's many other treasures. Piccadilly Circus has often been described as the hub of the world. With its statue to Eros, god of love, perhaps it's not surprising that it has always been a favourite meeting place, especially for those who want to go shopping. Associated with Charles Dickens' novel, the Old Curiosity Shop dates back to the 16th century. In Knightsbridge, the name of Harrods tops the list of London's wide range of shops. Here the world comes for the best that money can buy. St. George chases the dragon on the stylish shop front of Liberty's upmarket store. Once the highway that carried prisoners to die at Tyburn Tree, Oxford Street now has happier associations. It's a mile-long shopper's paradise with all the best high street names. The giant departmental store of Selfridges has served generations of Londoners. Messrs. Fortnum and Mason appear like clockwork above their Piccadilly Emporium to ensure their reputation for quality is maintained. At Hatchard's, the shelves are well stocked with fine books. Across the road, the Burlington Arcade preserves a feeling of old-fashioned gentility. The delicate artistry of the craftsmen in precious metals and jewels is offered by Asprey's. In fact, quality and style are predominant wherever you turn. Savile Row has been the established home of tailored clothes since Regency times. At the other end of the range are the interesting little street markets, where you can find bargains from amongst the mountains of merchandise on offer. Designed by John Nash as the gateway for Buckingham Palace, Marble Arch proved to be too narrow for the carriages. Now it stands upon one of the most sacred acres of London, Speaker's Corner. The right of free speech is exercised to the full at Speaker's Corner, where anyone with a soapbox can and does stand up and say exactly what he likes. Hyde Park has been aptly called the lungs of London, and in its centre, the Serpentine is a calm escape from the noise and pace of the city streets. Riders still exercise their mounts along Rotten Row, where in Victorian times the crowds flocked to Hyde Park just to see and be seen. The sumptuous Albert Memorial was erected on Queen Victoria's orders in memory of her beloved consort. Opposite, the squat amphitheatre of the Albert Hall is the venue for the popular promenade concerts and many other varied events. A quieter, more passive entertainment has been provided by Madame Tussaud for over 150 years. The wax exhibits range from the historic to the macabre in the Chamber of Horrors. Nearby in Regent's Park are the renowned zoological gardens. Begun in 1828, the London Zoo was built up from donations by Victorian explorers and hunters. Today, it's a highly respected scientific enterprise. Outside central London on the upper reaches of the Thames is England's largest castle. Windsor Castle has been a royal residence for 850 years. The annual procession of the most noble Order of the Garter makes its way down Castle Hill. The heralds and knights are members of the oldest order of Christian chivalry in Britain. The Queen is the head of the order, and in the procession to St. George's Chapel, she is escorted by the Sovereign's escort of the Yeomen of the Guard. The chapel, built by Edward IV, is a miracle of skilled design and patient workmanship. Above their seats in the choir hang each knight's personal banner, sword and crest. The tombs of many English monarchs can be seen in St. George's Chapel. Downriver, the popular resort of Hampton Court Palace, accessible on the land side through the imposing Queen Anne's Gateway. Hampton Court was the pride of the notorious Cardinal Wolsey, but was snatched from him by Henry VIII. Here, the much-married monarch first enjoyed an exhilarating game called tennis. The game is still popular, but play and players have changed. Today, the Centre Court at Wimbledon draws the top professionals from every part of the globe. But Wimbledon is not the only sporting mecca in London. At Wembley Stadium, many of the major international sporting competitions, and especially the celebrated Football Association's Cup Final, are held. The sacred turf of Wembley is a journalistic cliché, but for millions of football enthusiasts, it's nothing but the truth. Cricket, the game that stirs the English and bewilders visitors. That valiant English batsman, W.G. Grace, is commemorated on the gateway to Lord's Cricket Ground, the headquarters of the Marylebone Cricket Club. Close to hand, that other very British institution, the British pub. The Cheshire Cheese in Fleet Street is one of the better known and older pubs of London. From Dickensian Coaching Inn to the village local, you can always be sure to find on tap a foaming pint of English ale. But when night falls over London, life doesn't stop. Workers returning home mingle with the bustling, excited crowds arriving for an evening on the town, which is so much a part of a visit to London. The West End is London's theatreland. Lights in Shaftesbury Avenue, taxis in the Strand. Opera cloaks at Covent Garden. Over 40 major theatres offer the best in live stage entertainment. The magical effect of the neon lights in Piccadilly Circus gives the silhouette of Eros a romantic glow, for the nightlife of London is for the young at heart. It's all here, from reviews to the cinemas of Leicester Square. International cuisine to suit all tastes. With so many forms of entertainment, the choice is positively overwhelming. Every night behind the walls of the Tower of London, the Chief Warder enacts a ritual that has taken place continuously and unchanged for 700 years, the ceremony of the keys. The great oak gates of the fortress are locked, a sound that must have chilled the hearts of those incarcerated in the dungeons. In Water Lane, the Chief Warder accepts the ritual challenge.
Halt! All's there. The keys. Whose keys?
Queen Elizabeth's keys.
Past Queen Elizabeth's keys. All's well.
By the centre, quick march!
Then the main guard and escort pay homage to their sovereign.
Escort to the keys! Out!
Guard and escort. Present. Hey!
God preserve Queen Elizabeth.
Amen!
The ceremony closes with the sounding of the last post. The fortress is secure, but the old city never sleeps. In the words of Dr. Johnston, when a man is tired of London, he is tired of life. A sentiment about London as true today as it ever was.